Hello and welcome to episode 71 of the Lonely Knitter podcast. My name is Zora, and if you are a new viewer, hi, thank you for checking me out. This is where I come to chat about all of the craftiness that's going on around here. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I love you guys. I'm coming to you from the most easterly point of England, the UK, and I live here with my husband, my 4-year-old little girl, my 1-year-old little boy, and our very elderly cat. And I make crafters balm, and I am the dyer behind Bumbling Yarns, and I make other little bits and bobs, stitch markers, occasionally a bag or two, and other usually knitting or crochet related things. My website, all of my details. I also write a few patterns and things like that. Everything will be down below, including any of the makers mentioned in this podcast. You can find me over on Instagram as @thelonelyknitter, and yeah, all the stuff will be just down there. Anyway, I'm going to crack straight on this week because I am on a bit of a time shortage tonight, so jumping right in. I have finished objects. What? I feel like I'm getting multiple weeks with finished objects and I can't quite understand what's going on in my life. I haven't walked over here with all the sock blockers. There are 6 sock blockers in my house or around my house. I currently have been able to find 2, but I've just put 1 on this one for now. So these are finished. It's the 28th of February today. I didn't mention that because I'm not clever. And yeah, it's the 28th of February, and the SCR1TNO podcast, my lovely friend Sharon, her knit along to make socks, her sock along throughout this year to use up stripy sock yarn. I'm bumbling this up already today, aren't I? Basically, Woolly Goodness Yarns was the dyer of the month to get double entries into her knit along this month, and I really want to try and keep up, knit at least 1 pair a month, if not more, and at least 1 pair a month using either the commercial or the indie dyer for that month. I'd love it to be the indie dyer as long as I can get hold of their yarn. So this was my entry. I used the Nest Point sock pattern. I think I showed you this last week. This is one of my designs. It's currently on Ravelry. I will be moving all of, when I get 2 minutes to sit down, I'll be moving all of my patterns that are on Ravelry also onto my website. There are a few on my website already, but not many. So all of them will be going onto there. So I quite like this for self-striping yarn because it doesn't mess the stripes up at all. And I think it goes quite well. So those are done. And I entered those in, so that's Woolly Goodness Yarns. And then I went to my whip wall because it felt so good to finish something up, and I really wanted to crack onto one of my whips because I have a wall next to me that is covered in hooks, and all of those hooks have project bags hanging off them, and most of those project bags have a whip in them. And I came across these socks, and because I was on a little bit of a sock kick, I was like, yes, I'm definitely going to finish those off. So I grabbed these out of the bag and I have worn them. They're not filthy, but I might have stood in a toddler's dinner. And they were nearly done. I got them out. I couldn't believe it. I had a full sock finished and the leg of the second sock. So I think this is Bakery Bears yarns, but from ages ago, and I think it's a Harry Potter themed colourway. Not that I really buy much Harry Potter anymore, but it's beautiful. It's a sparkle. I don't know if you can see the sparkle. It's always hard to sort of show up. There's a bit, can you see it? So it is a sparkly yarn and they're finished. So the second sock, which was definitely this one, was done to here. So I did the heel, and the heel, back then I was in love with I've Partridge heels. Now I just do knit heel flap and gussets, but I did a I've Partridge heel flap on this one, and then gusset decreases, and then the foot. Here's the issue. These might end up just being sort of slipper socks around the house, not really worn in shoes, because I first started these over 2 years ago, probably over 3 years ago. I'm not sure. It'll have been right early on in the podcast, if not before it, probably early on. And back then my gauge was a lot looser. Maybe I'm just a bit more stressed now. Everything's a bit more even now, but I knit, or maybe my gauge was tighter. What am I on about? I knit on 2.5mm needles back then for socks. I now knit on 2.25s. So I got to here, and then I put this back on the needle because it wasn't on needles, it was on a piece of thread, and I put it back onto my 2.25s because I don't like really working on 2.5s for socks now. So this foot is a little tighter than this foot, and the leg, I mean, I think you probably see the difference if I line it up on that side. Yeah, it's a bit bigger, and the legs are quite baggy on me as well, but hey, they are done. So I have 2 finished objects. I did go back to the whip wall to see, because I felt like I was again on a bit of a roll, and I grabbed 2 projects. So that is the end of finished objects. I have no hose. Didn't quite get there this week, but I grabbed 2 bags from the whip wall. Instead of casting on something new, I grabbed 2 bags off the whip wall. Who am I? Anyway, this bag, I love this bag. It's an Otter and Spell bag. I bought it in one of the Yorkshire Yarn Fests, and I think they're like recycled materials, like bits of like offcuts of fabric, so there's not very often many of the same. I'm not 100%, I might be wrong on that one. But this is the sock that I was knitting at the start of this episode, and this is the Forbidden sock set. Now I cast this on just to show, and I only got as far as the about here, but I just wanted to show how this sock set worked up back in September's Yorkshire Yarn Fest. Might have been December. It was a while ago, Yorkshire Yarn Fest a while ago, and then I'd never carried on with it. So this is my Forbidden colourway, and I think I actually have a skein of that left. Not a sock set with the mini, but it does have the main. And it is a high twist sock, and it is incredibly soft, and I love it for socks. But then I put this down and I couldn't be bothered, so I finished off the gusset. It needed the gusset decreases, so I finished the gusset decreases, and I have started working. You can see where the gusset decreases stop there, and I've started working down the foot. So hopefully we'll have 1 sock finished next week, but it hasn't been getting a lot of love. This is the yarn, it's all a bit falling apart now. It hasn't been getting a lot of love because this has just been it's been my handbag, to be honest. I stick my purse in here and my phone, and this goes everywhere. But it's just been my every now and then when I have 2 seconds knitting, and I haven't had a lot of that this week, so hasn't had a load of work. This is what I have been knitting whenever I have had a good chunk of time. So this is the next project from the whip wall, and this bag, I love this bag to bits. In fact, it's actually almost getting a little bit worse for wear now, where I have literally been dragging it around everywhere. It also has toothpaste. Ellie spilled toothpaste down the front of it the other morning, and it's covered in little bits of fluff because it's black, so it's going to get bits and bobs on it. But this is the Craft House Magic bag, and it's a cauldron. It's the Halloween bag from, I didn't think I got it last year, I think I got it the year before. My husband bought it for me for our anniversary, and I seem to be casting on Stephen West mystery knit-alongs with our wedding anniversary. So I knit my first one like in around our wedding, which was a couple of years ago now, 2.5 years ago now, and we when we were in the room, there's a shot of me sitting knitting in all my wedding dress and everything in this big chair, happily knitting away on my Stephen West shawl. And then I did the same last year, went back to the same hotel, and well, no, we've done that for 2 years running. So on our anniversary, we've gone back to the same hotel, stayed in the same room, I've sat in the same chair, and I've worked on the mystery knit along, Stephen West mystery knit along for that year. This is the one from last year, and as I am, you know, totally predictable after anniversary, I put it down, didn't touch it for a while. Happened last year as well, and I think the year before, and I think the year before that. But I've got it out of the bag and I'm working away on it like crazy, and I'm so enjoying it. So I feel like I might have enough momentum to finish this shawl. So this is the Extravaganza by Stephen West, and I started knitting it when it was Mystery Knit Along, when it came out last year, and then somewhere in clue 3 I put it back in the bag and didn't work on it again until this week. So obviously it's all out now, it's not mystery anymore, but that's clue 1, and then there's the bonus clue, which was clue 2, and then this is clue 3. And I picked this up this week. I think I was on this brown one or this blue one. I think it was the brown one. It might not have even been that, it might have been there, it might have been the end of the blue, but I finished off that section now, and I'm now onto the checks section, which is that one. And then there's only, so I've got a picture here, so this is just the bottom bit, it doesn't show you the honeycomb bit at the top, but this is the section that I'm on now, and then we've got this bit to go, and that's it. I am mixing around with the colours a little bit, because in this section your main colour is supposed to be the main colour from the rest of the pattern. So here, where I'm using the teal, it should be this white with the speckles, but I am trying to get it done without going, I'm just ripping stitches off the needles. I'm trying to get it done without, you know when you're like, I am now going to be tense, I'm just going to put this down. Yeah, I'm trying to do it without cracking into a second skein of the ethereal, which is the white main colour. So this is knit in Bumbling Yarns, all in singles, so it's ridiculously soft. The sort of off-white with the flecks of brown chestnut colour is ethereal, and then the brown, I can't remember what I called this one, if it was Conquer or... totally gone because I had a bunch of brown colourways at the same time. The blue is Genie, and the teal is Jasmine. And I'm going to put it back very carefully in the bag and not touch it again until I get inside and pick those stitches up. But I'm having a great time, and I don't think it'll be finished by next week because the rows are incredibly long, but you never know. Anyway, so on to stash enhancement. So I have 2 things to show you. One of them I bought, the other one I made and have claimed for myself. Show you the one that I bought first. So it's a book. A bit different this week. I don't tend to buy many books nowadays, and mainly download patterns when I want one. But this one was being sold by my lovely friend Georgie, who is the Fibre Fox, and it is Strands of Joy by Johanna. And it's a book by Lane magazine. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. It's got this gorgeous fabric spine, and it's just so nice and so pretty. And she'd shared it in her stories, and when I looked through the patterns, because you can, you know, you get previews of, and you can see them on Johanna's Instagram and things like that. When I looked through, there's 20 patterns in there, and I would like to knit 10 of them. Now, I think in most books that I've ever bought, if there were 20 patterns, I've maybe wanted to knit 3. I cannot get over how many of these gorgeous patterns I want to knit. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to knit that quite soon. That's just beautiful. But there's one called Sprout. I'm not gonna be able to find it now when I'm in front of a camera. Why don't I just look and see what page it's on? But this book is just gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. The photography is amazing, and I love everything about it. Here we go. Sprout. I think that might be the first one that I knit. What actually pushed me over the edge, though, to buy the book was juxtaposition. Where are you? 128. So yeah, I saw it on, I had a little look around, and you know, because I wanted to see what the inside looked like. That was a big bang. I like that one a lot. That's juxtaposition. But yeah, I got this book, and I had a little look around, and you know, you can buy books from big shops and you can buy them from Amazon. I love the idea that I was buying it from an indie dyer who has branched out and sells other things and is making her living as a small business in our country. You know, a little treat for myself. So it was, I think it was £30, so that's quite expensive for me to buy a book for, because again, as I said, I wouldn't usually buy a book, but for 20 patterns, that's not much per pattern, and you get a beautiful book. But even for the 10 patterns that I would like to knit, because there's so many in there that I would love to knit, it makes it only £3 a pattern if I only knit those ones. So actually it's a real bargain, and I just didn't, you know, when sometimes you have to think about, someone goes, oh, it's cost this much, and you go, oh, I'm not sure if I can afford that. But when you actually think about how much that is per pattern, when it comes to a book like this, that's really good value. And it's beautiful, and I'm actually really chuffed to have this book in my collection now. So look forward to one of those patterns coming soon. Might try and finish a few more things on the whip wall first. The next thing I'm going to show you is a club colourway. So if you have not yet received your sock club, the first instalment for 2021. So sock club runs every other month starting in February. So the first month has now gone out to everybody, and I am going to dye one for myself each time and keep them for me as well, which I don't tend to usually do with my yarn very often. And I'm really happy with this one, so I wanted to show it to you. But if you have not yet received your first one, which is Pitch Perfect, they are based around movies with music, like musicals, but quite a lot of them won't be the traditional ones, or some of them might be the traditional ones. It's going to be a real mix up, just things I like. So I love the film Pitch Perfect. I always sing along, and I have dyed a colourway for it. So I will show you, and I'm not going to talk about what the colours are or anything at all. I may show you next week or I may put up on my Instagram the inspiration photo that I used, but I'm just going to show this off really fast, and I will tell you when to look away and when to look back. So if you have bought the Sock Club Pitch Perfect, the first instalment of 2021's Sock Club from me, and you have not yet received it, look away now. I'm going to hold it up. I'm holding it up. Here we go. So this is Pitch Perfect. And you can see what we've got up there. Okay, it's down, it's gone. You can look back. So that one, I think I'm going to make socks from all of my Sock Club yarn. I think I'd like to try and cast that on this month because I absolutely love it. I'm really happy with it. It's sort of brought back a bit of a love for dyeing for me, because I haven't dyed much this year at all, apart from my clubs. I haven't done anything for a shop update wise with a lot of yarn in. The only shop update that I've done this year that had yarn in was one where I just put some mini sets in, and that was it, nothing else. So yeah, it's been a bit dry this year, and it just gave me this little, oh yeah, no, I love this, and I dyed a bunch of yarns for a shop update. So I am done with stash enhancement, and plans for next week, I'm just hoping to work on that shawl, maybe crack through a bit more of those socks. It's going to be a bit boring, nothing really new, but next week I will show you the Buffy instalment of the Scrappy Blanket Club, which it's currently sign-ups are open until the 5th of March for the 3rd instalment, and that is based around The Crown, the Netflix show The Crown. But the Buffy instalment, which was February, has now gone out to everybody. So next week I will show you those colours as well. Anyway, I am going to give you a little look at what I've got going in the shop. It's actually gone in the shop tonight. It went in at 7 p.m. and we're now at about probably 20 past 7. So it's just gone into the shop. I'm just going to show you what I've put up. I think most of them are still in stock at the moment. I ended up doing a bit of impromptu dyeing towards the end of the week, and it just sort of happened. And so I thought I'm going to pop these in here now rather than keep overthinking it too much, because if I overthink things too much, imposter syndrome sets in and I don't dare put things online. So I'm going to just run through those, then I'll have a quick life talk with you, a little bit of chat about what's been going on the last week and what's coming up next week, and then that'll be everything for this week. Oh, first of all though, I'm just going to talk about my dress. So I put up a little recommendations thing in my stories on Instagram because I really wanted to find some comfy dresses to wear, and I have saved them all in my highlights, so if you do want to have a look on the highlights on my Instagram. But of all of the recommendations I had, one of them was Carolina Dress Room, and I went and had a look and I got this dress, and it came yesterday and I have lived in it ever since. I'm gonna have to wash it now though, but it is, I don't know if you can see that, it says "Welcome Foolish Mortals," and it is a Haunted Mansion, Gracie Manor, Disney Haunted Mansion dress, and it's a midi dress. It comes all the way down my legs. It's really, really, really comfy. It has pockets. It's amazing. I'm so happy with it. And one of the colourways that I've dyed is actually based around this dress. So this is, I called this one "Welcome Foolish Mortals," mainly because it was setting me off with this bit on my shoulder. There, look. And I have it on sock and singles. I love singles. I don't know why everyone doesn't love singles. Singles is like the softest, comfiest, squidgiest thing in the entire world. So I have them on sock and singles. Then I have Sucker Punch. There is a story behind this. I was getting it out of the bucket when I was going through all of my different stages of prep and washing. And my daughter was running, literally running down the corridor, and she crashed into me. But for some reason she had her arm outstretched like this and I got punched full on in the gut. It was awful. This is Sucker Punch, and I have this on sock and singles. There's some purple on that one. Then I have Ellie's Choice. So Ellie helped me dye a yarn this week. She picked some colours. She picked this out of a colourway that I'd already dyed, and she asked for pink, and then she showed me how she wanted it to be half pink, half blue, so this should sort of micro stripe. And then I was like, should we put some purple speckles on there? No. Should we pour some more pink on that top bit? No. I was like, right, okay. Do you want me to do anything else? No, mummy. I was like, right, okay. So she was happy with it as it was. So this is Ellie's Choice, and this is in sock. And I love it in singles. I feel like it really glows. It's so squidgy. So singles. Then we also have, this is Lorona Bee Stinger. So I have started, or I'm going to start playing Dungeons and Dragons with this lovely group of people, and they have very kindly let me join their group. And I say group of people, they're all people I know already, but they are all lovely. They are friends. And my character is called Lorona Bee Stinger, and I thought, I'm going to dye some for me. Something for me to like commemorate the fact that I am now starting to play Dungeons and Dragons, which I've wanted to do forever. And this is what I came up with, and I've popped some of them in the shop as well. So this is Lorona Bee Stinger. It is a light grey, sort of tonal light grey, and then it has speckles of sort of some dark browns. We've got like reds, golds in there, a bit more darker red. Yeah, there's lots of little speckles in there. So I have that on sock and on singles. Again, it looks so different on the singles. This is the same dye lot that came out of the same pan. And then last but not least, so I only had 5 new colourways going in today. Very small update. I'll just put these over here. Last is Haunted Mansion. I actually called it Gracie Manor in the end, which is obviously the name of the Haunted Mansion from the film The Haunted Mansion by Disney. And it is a very gloomy sort of, we've got browns, almost like a purpley tint to it, and lots of tonal greys, and then it's just some speckles of gold and brown. And yeah, but this, I was really trying to channel, there it is, there's Gracie Manor there on my boob, there it is. So that's what I was channeling when I went for this one. And yet again, I have this one on sock and on singles. That would make the nicest, squishiest shawl or cowl. But yeah, so that is everything that's going. Oh, and one thing went in a couple of days ago, Friday night. Friday night I launched the second instalment of my stripy sock club yarn. So I think I showed you these last week. This is the first instalment. This was January and February's colourway, and it came with a coordinating mini. You can choose whether or not you want the mini or not. You get 100 grams of my self-striping colourway of that 2 months. So March, I sold out in the end of the extra slots that I'd put up for this colourway, and then opened up March's a couple of days early. So this is March's colourway, and I have one of the minis here. And I actually based this around a kingfisher photo that I'd seen that I absolutely loved. We always used to look for kingfishers. My grandparents live on a river. They have a boat, and they don't live on a river. They live right next to, they have a boatyard. They live next to the river. But, you know, they have the moorings and the river frontage. Oh my gosh. And so we used to see a lot of them when I was a kid. So that is what this one is based around, and I haven't knit it up yet, so I don't have a sample to show you, but I will be knitting it within this 2-month period of this one being for sale. Whilst this is the colourway for March and April, I do still do an amount that I'm willing to dye. First of all, these take a really long time. I have to take the skein of yarn, put it on the Swift and warp it onto the big board. Then I have to dye whatever I'm dyeing on it, rinse it, wash it, rinse it, spin dry it, hang it to dry. When it is then dry, I then fit it back onto the warping board, and then I wind it into a gobstopper ball by hand from there. So it's a long process for just one skein of yarn. So there is a limit on how many I can do. I don't know if you can see the colours in there, because this colour is in there quite a lot. But there we go. But yeah, there is a limit to how much I can do. And so whilst it is the colourway for March and April, if the slots all sell out, once I catch up, I am, you know, I probably will be happy to open a few more, but they're not unlimited in that time frame. So whilst I will say that is the colour for March and April, if you really are keen on it, I can't promise that if you wait until the end of April that I will still have them up for sale, because it's just however many I can manage. I've got small children. I do this full time, but I also have children full time, especially during lockdown, so can't get everything done. Yeah, that's everything that I think went in. I've had a little bit of a tidy up of the website and taken down some of the older things, having a little bit of a sort through, taken down some of the things that had sold out that I hadn't taken the listings out of, so listings down for, sorry about that. Yeah, I think that's everything that I was going to write on yarn wise. Now I'm going to talk about life stuff. So this last week we were told that Ellie's allergy trial can carry on. So anyone who's not been here very long, Ellie is on a peanut desensitization trial where she has a little bit of peanut extract or placebo, we don't know, every day, and that medication that we give her every day goes up and up over time, and then at the end of like the year we find out whether or not she was on the placebo, in which case she then starts on the real thing, or if it was the real thing, in which case she should then be able to tolerate multiple peanuts, which would be lovely. And then it's a lifelong medication that she will take, but if it means she doesn't have to worry about having a peanut allergy anymore, I'm fine with that. That all was halted because of lockdown again, and the R number and everything being a bit high. We basically couldn't go into the hospital to have her updose appointments, which meant they kept her on the same dose for a long time. So she's been on that same dose for like 3 months now, 2.5 months. So she will be going in this Wednesday, so it's Sunday today, and she'll be going in on Wednesday, and they will be updosing her, watching her to see if she can tolerate what they give her, and if she can, then we will take that home and do a big chunk of time with that, and then we get to go back and she ups again, and yeah, so that's happening again this week. That was quite nice to get that news, but not much else has happened this week, to be honest. I feel like I've been really busy, but I haven't got a lot to show for it. I have gone back to doing some bits for family on a Monday. On a Tuesday I work crafters barn, bumbling yarns work, whatever I can do to make ends meet. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I have my children. So yeah. And then this week coming up, Wednesday is Ellie's updosing appointment. Thursday, for anyone who's watched last week's episode, I have a lump in my boob. I'm sure it'll be absolutely nothing. I'm not worried at all, but I'm getting that checked out on Thursday at the hospital. So whilst I am sure it'll be fine, I will let you know. I'm sure it will be absolutely fine. So yeah, Thursday I'm at the hospital for that. That's going to be the most exciting thing going on this week. I have a sad life right now, don't I? Yeah, there's really not a lot going on. I can't wait. We obviously got the details on hopefully restrictions being lifted coronavirus wise in the UK this last week, so fingers crossed. I mean, the kids should go back to school on the 8th. Well, that means that Ellie will go back to nursery 3 days a week, which would be lovely for her because she's really been missing her little friends and her teachers. But Alfie doesn't go to nursery yet, so other than that, it doesn't really affect us. I've still got him at home, and that's about it, because obviously everything else is subject to whether or not everything's okay. I'm boring, aren't I, today? I can, you know, when you can feel I'm not on form, I am boring. Ugh, I hate that. This is where someone goes, "You're always boring, Laura." Got a lot on my mind, and I'm just not feeling 100% myself at the moment. As I'm sure many people aren't, being trapped in our houses for this long. Anyway, I'm going to go because now I really am blabbering. Thank you so much if you have joined me, and as always, thank you for making me so much less of a lonely knitter.